Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to take a look at several lever guns. These are both 22 caliber lever guns, and they're made by Henry. And as we take a quick look at their catalog, initially right on the front you see made in America or not made at all. And these are proud US made guns, and that's really awesome. So as we flip it open, Henry does make several 22 caliber lever guns. The first one you'll come to is just the base model. And there's nothing really wrong with this gun. I think it is a good gun, and if you're working on a budget, this is the most affordable 22 lever gun, and it really does have a lot of nice features, and I would recommend it. However, the only reason that you're not going to see one on the table today is that it does have a plastic front sight, and that just kind of bugs me. You know, it just seems kind of wrong to put a plastic front sight on one of these, traditional lever guns. So I don't know, it's affordable. That just kind of bothers me, but I don't think they're bad guns by any means. So as we continue, we come to this Frontier model. Now the Frontier model is very similar to the standard model, except it has a octagonal barrel, which is very cool. It's very kind of period, and then it also features a steel front sight. I really like that, and so I really like the Frontier model a lot more than that standard model. It is a little bit more expensive, but we have a Frontier model right here. I've been shooting it, I've been testing it, I really like it. As we flip forward a little bit more though, we'll come to the rifle that's really kind of the top of the line model, and this is the Golden Boy. And so this features that really nice brass finish on the receiver, on the butt plate. It also features that octagonal barrel and steel front sight. It's really a very beautiful rifle. And we also have one of those here today. So we're going to be taking a look at both of these rifles, the Frontier and the Golden Boy. As we go through the review, we'll just be following those talking points you see there on the side, just to help us stay a little bit more organized, just to help me, keep track of my thoughts. So let's just start up there on top with uses. Why would you buy one of these rifles? Well, first and foremost, I see these as recreational guns. Just to take them to the range, shoot them a whole bunch, and just have fun. Just go plinking with them. And these are really rifles that everyone I ever handed it to shoot, kids, grandparents, anybody thought these were cool guns and had fun with them. There's just something about that manual action lever that it's just a lot of fun. And with the 22 chambering, they also offer it in, I believe, 17 HMR and 22 Magnum, which maybe for hunting calibers those would be nice, but I would recommend the 22 just because you can shoot it so affordably. And in that 22 caliber, you can just go out and just shoot it all day and not really feel guilty about it. I mean, you can go through a brick of 500 rounds and not be out that much money. Now, obviously, as of recently, 22s have been kind of hard to find. But, when things stabilize, generally 22s are very affordable to go just shoot a ton of. So I really like that about them. Also, they would make good hunting guns. So if you're getting into small game hunting and you're looking for a good gun just to go shoot squirrels or rabbits or whatever, these could definitely fulfill that role very nicely. They're definitely accurate enough. Not really defensive firearms or anything like that. I guess you could collect them, especially maybe even this Golden Boy. They do have some commemorative versions, some much more decorative versions out there. They're very expensive, but you could definitely collect these if that's what you're looking for. So as we get to dimensions on here, I'm not going to go into too much detail. Most of this stuff you could just look up, but they do feature a 20-inch octagonal barrel, which is really nice. It's I like that really kind of heavier, thicker octagonal barrel. Just makes it feel very accurate and very period. They have a good weight to them. They're not so heavy that it's hard to handle them, but they definitely feel like just a good solid gun. And yeah, so let's just move on. There's not really too much to say about dimensions on here that you can't just look up easily. As far as capacity goes on here, you're looking at basically 16 rounds in the magazine, and these are tubular magazines on here. So the way that you're going to load this, so you're just going to come up here, rotate that out of the notch, and pull this forward. So you're going to pull your tube, and then you just drop your rounds right in this slot right here. They all slide down. So you're going to hold 16 rounds of 22 long rifle. Now, one of the nice things about this tubular magazine with the lever action is that if you are wanting to use things like 22 shorts or other 22 type ammunition, it will actually hold 21 rounds of 22 short, and this mechanism can cycle it. So if you're just gonna just do some small game hunting and you just want to hold a bunch of rounds, you could load in some like 22 short CB caps in here. They'd be very quiet. You wouldn't even need hearing protection, and you could hold a ton of them. So that's a pretty cool feature. Alright, so as we move on to ergonomics, these are very comfortable guns to shoot, very easy to actuate. The levers are extremely smooth. These are really, really smooth, polished guns, and it's just a really nice feel. They're very easy to actuate. If you have a kid who wants to shoot this or something, it's going to be very easy for them. Now, you'll notice the trigger on here is a serrated, like ridged or ribbed trigger on there. There are serrations on there. And the trigger weight on here is, I never measured it. I would put it maybe around 4 pounds. It's a very nice trigger. It's very easy to be accurate with it. And if you scope this, you could definitely get some good accuracy out of it. That trigger's not going to hamper you at all. As we look at the hammer, they did put some nice serrations on that hammer. So it's easy to get a good solid purchase on the hammer and cock it back. Now, there's no safety on here, which I really, really like. They kept it very traditional in that sense. So the safe way to carry this with a round in the chamber, so once you rack a round into the chamber, the way you're going to carry this, you're going to put your thumb on the hammer, point it in a safe direction, obviously. You're going to pull the trigger and lower that hammer down, and that will be in the half-cock position. Now, it's kind of hard to tell that it's in the half-cock position right there. It's not all that obvious, but if we put it all the way down and then pull it back, hear that click, so that's your half-cock. So that's really nice. I prefer that much more than what some companies nowadays are doing, and that's just putting a crossbow safety on there. A lot of the modern Marlin rifles are putting crossbow safeties on there, and I just absolutely hate it. I mean, people carried these rifles for 100 years in half-cock, and it was always fine. So I don't understand why now we need crossbow safeties. So I much prefer this method. So other ergonomic features on here, as we look at the butt stocks on here, you notice this one is, on the Frontier model, is just a polymer buttstock, has some checkering on there. It's nice. It sits in your shoulder well. It's comfortable. There's not really any recoil with the 22, but that checkering does keep it in place. Now, as we look at the Golden Boy back here, this features a brass buttstock, which is really nice looking, and it also has a bit of a curve to it. And I like this a lot. I mean, it looks really nice. Now, I would say in the shoulder, it does tend to slip around, maybe just a little bit more than the Frontier model, but I think the looks are worth it. It's a very beautiful looking buttstock and very traditional. You don't see metal butt plates on modern rifles all that often, so I really like to see that. Alright, so let's move on to accuracy. Now, taking a look at the sights on here, on the Frontier model, you notice kind of a buckhorn style sight right there. It is adjustable. And then the front sight is a brass bead. So fairly nice iron sights. Now, they're not super precise. I would say for like cowboy action type shooting, for plinking and that type of stuff, these sights are going to be fine. If you're trying to do things like small game hunting or really precise things, they're probably not going to be the best bet for you. And I would probably scope this if I was going to go take it hunting and I really needed that precision. Now, this gun, the Frontier model, comes with a rail built right into the top of the receiver. So right out of the box, you can just throw a scope on here. Now, this is a 22 rail. This is smaller than like a Picatinny rail. So you got a little 22 rail right up there on top. That's really nice. Now, when we look at the Golden Boy, you have a nice large kind of buckhorn style sight, very similar to the Frontier. Very similar iron sights. You'll notice, though, there's no rail on top of this receiver. So what you'd have to do if you wanted to scope this gun, which you can, is you would have to buy a cantilever mount from Henry. And the nice thing about this is that Henry doesn't rip you off. You just pop this out of the dovetail. It's already drilled and tapped for you. The mount costs about 30 bucks, which is very reasonable in my opinion. And it gives you a nice mount for mounting a scope. It mounts on there very solidly. It's a good mount. I haven't used it, but I have seen reviews of it and seen it in video, and it seems to be a good quality product. So about 30 bucks, you can scope this one. This one, you're good to go out of the box, and so that's great. It's very easy to scope either of these rifles. Now this one, I did throw a scope on, and I shot it at 40 yards, rested, and this is what I was able to do. Not all that impressive. I'm just kind of an average shooter, to be honest. Especially with rifles, I'm just kind of average. So these groups are something that you could expect to shoot yourself very easily. If you throw a really skilled marksman behind these, I have no doubt that you could do better than these groups that I'm showing you here. So, shooting just kind of basic, bulk ammo. I shot this group, so 5-shot group. See, about maybe 2 inches. So about a 2-inch group at 40 yards. Not all that impressive. This is the next group I shot. So that's about a 1-inch group. You see 3 shots are basically touching. And really, that 3-shot group is about what I think these guns are capable of. You see these two there. I really kind of consider those flyers. So I would say that, with a good shooter behind it, scoped, and maybe messing with the ammunition a little bit and finding what it likes, you could probably get 1 MOA out of these guns. And I think that's possible. So, I think the accuracy is good enough, and I think it's probably pretty much on par with a lot of other similar guns, but it's not, super impressive or outstanding or anything to brag about either. Pretty much just what I would call average accuracy. As far as reliability goes on these guns, honestly I didn't have any problems with them through the whole testing phase, and I have several thousand rounds through these guns combined, and never a hiccup at all. And just this manual lever action mechanism is just very, very reliable. Feeding any kind of ammunition through it that you want. I mean, solid, round nose bullets, hollow points, anything. I just never had an issue with these whatsoever. So really, the lever action mechanism is a very reliable, very robust mechanism, and it's just not something to worry about. Alright, so as far as maintenance goes on these guns, they're pretty easy to maintain, and the only thing you'll really need to do regularly is just clean out your barrels. So, just open it up, just clean out your barrel, and that's pretty much it. Now, after a while, you may need to clean out your mechanism, and that's not too hard. You just take your top cover off, open it up, and clean that out. I've shot several thousand rounds through these guns, and I haven't had to clean my mechanism out yet, but I would imagine after a while you would. And really that's not going to be too hard because Henry's done a great job at making lots of resources available for these guns. So you go to their website and they actually have a very nice video series out showing exactly how to disassemble this gun, how to service it, and so they really show you exactly how to take care of this gun. And really that's something I think that a lot of gun manufacturers should do. Instead of handing you a paper manual in your box, I think it'd be much better for them to make a video series showing you exactly how to take care of the gun. So that's really nice. Now the only maintenance issue that I've really had with these guns has to do with the coating on this receiver. And I haven't really had the issue with the Golden Boy, but with the Frontier model, they made this top cover out of an alloy material. And this material is actually an alloy between aluminum and zinc. So it's perfectly durable. It's not going to break on you metal-wise, but they couldn't blue it because it was an alloy. And because of that, they basically just painted this finish on this receiver. Now your barrels and everything are blued. Your loop here, your hammer, your trigger, all your internals are steel and blued. But your top cover here is actually an alloy. And that, I don't know. I kind of wish they just made it out of steel. It would have just kept with the character of the gun. But I think they're probably trying to save costs, trying to get you a good product at a good price, which I appreciate. And so when they painted that gun, it just I mean, it's a fairly durable finish, but it will wear on you, and when it wears, it kind of looks bad. So you'll notice there's a little bit of scratch there. There's some on the top rail. The worst is right down this back here. There's some scratching right there. So it does wear on you. Eventually, you may have to refinish this top cover, maybe something like a black Cerakote, or whatever. You know, you may have to deal with that in the future. Now, as far as the Golden Boy, this is also a alloy, I believe. However, this finish they put on here is called Brasslight. It's basically just a finish that looks like brass. And I've used this gun every bit as much as I've used the Frontier model, and it hasn't worn nearly as much. Really, there's no wear on here at all. There's some minor scratching, but not much. So I would really say that I think this finish is much more durable. I don't really have any issues with this because it's worn well. This one is a little bit of an issue. Now, as we move on to accessories, there's not too much to do to these guns. There is the cantilever mount that Henry offers for this one, very affordably priced. Also, you can buy a large lever, or a large loop lever from Henry, very affordably. I think it's like 20 or 30 bucks. So the accessories that they do have out for these guns are very affordably priced, which is really nice. And other than that, I don't think there's too much. There may be some aftermarket, you know, peep sights or different things out there, but pretty much that's about it. Now, as far as the pricing goes on these guns, you know, obviously street price is going to be different from what they say in the catalog. The Golden Boy, they're selling for $515 in the catalog. I've seen it in gun shops and places for around $425 for the Golden Boy, which I think is well worth it. It's an American-made, really well-made gun, beautiful walnut wood. I mean, it's just well worth the money. As we look at the Frontier model, which I also like, they're selling that one for $430. So you could expect to find this one, you know, maybe around $350-ish for the Frontier model. So it is definitely a little bit cheaper than the Golden Boy. And so I think that's good value on both of these. For American-made, well-made guns, they're just tons of fun. They just don't break down. They just, you know, very, very reliable. I think they're well worth it. Now, there is some good competition out there. And the biggest competition that I would say that you would have to worry about with these guns, or that you should look at with these guns, if you're considering buying one, is going to be the Marlin 39A. The Marlin 39A has been out for many, many years. It's been made for a long, long time. And it's a pretty awesome gun. Now, the lever, not quite as smooth. There's a little bit of, you know, a little bit of turbulence in that lever, but they're really nice guns. Now, I would say that I wouldn't go out and buy a modern 39A. The modern 39As have checkering on the stocks, which some of you may like. I really don't like the look all that much. They checker the stocks. They put a crossbolt safety on it, which I absolutely detest. I would never buy a 39A with a crossbolt safety. I really hate that. So if you can find an older one like this one's about 40 years old, then I would say that it's a really good option. Now, it doesn't have the octagonal barrel. It just has a large, you know, round barrel. But it is a 24-inch barrel, so it's a little bit longer barrel than these. And I would say that it does have a bit of an accuracy advantage. It's definitely a little bit more accurate gun. At 50 yards with these iron sights, and I don't have the target for you, but I can tell you from experience, with 50 yards with these iron sights, you can easily put them in like a dime, like, you know, the size of a dime. So, very, very accurate gun, the 39A. It's also a takedown, so you just pull this screw out, throw on a half cock, and the whole gun breaks down. So it's a really nice design. And if I had a choice between a used 39A in decent condition and a new Henry, I'd probably take the older 39A, to be honest. It's just a really nice gun. That being said, though, not everyone's going to find a great deal on an old, beautiful 39A, and these modern Henrys are really nice guns. So if you have any questions about these at all, feel free to leave that in the comments down below. I'd be happy to help you guys out with this. If you like what you saw in the video, I'd appreciate it. Hit the little like button and subscribe. I have more videos coming. Have a nice day, and thanks for watching.